Angles can be named many ways based on their characteristics. So, you may remember these different types of angles. What makes an angle an acute angle? It is less than 90 degrees. What about an obtuse angle? Good. So between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. What about a right angle?
Exactly 90.
It is exactly 90 degrees. And a straight angle. Exactly 180 degrees. Okay, so we're going to be looking at this protractor and reading the angle measurements from this protractor. It is important to follow the way the letters are written. So what is the measure of angle AFC? So trace your pencil real quick on A, then touch F, then touch C. So you know that that is the angle that we are measuring is AFC. So where should A start? 0. So which side are we looking at? Are we looking at the top of the protractor or the bottom numbers on the protractor? Why? Are we looking at 0 or 180?
0.
We want to start at 0, so you're looking at the numbers on the top. The bottom is if you start on the other side at 0. So if we're starting this side at 0, we want to start at 0, which is right here. And we want to measure till we get to the end of this angle. So we are measuring across this way. And it stops right here. So how many degrees? 100 degrees. Angle CFE. So CFE. So this is the end. E is the end point. Should I use the top numbers or the bottom numbers? What number do I want to start with? 0. Where is 0? Is it on the top or the bottom? It's at the bottom. So if I want to measure CFE, I'm going to start at 0 and I'm going to go on the bottom. So what is that angle measurement? 80 degrees. How are angles AFC and angle CFE related?
No.
Is 80 degrees more than 90?
You can add 80 to 100 and get 180.
Okay, so if I add 100 to 80, I get 180. Do you know what that's called? Okay, so this is also called, when you can add two angles together and get 180, the two angles are called supplementary. So that means that they add up to 180. What is the measure of angle BFC? So do either of those start at 0? No. So I can use the top or the bottom. It does not matter. Let's go ahead and do the top numbers. So where is B? Where does that start off at using the top numbers?
40.
At 40. And what about C?
100.
So what is the distance between 40 and 100? 60. So that is a 60-degree angle. DFE. So DFE. Then it's not an angle. So angle DFE, we can use the 0. So if we start at 0, what does this one go up to? 30. And what's special about those two? How are they related?
They equal to 90.
They add up to 90. And there's another special word for that. It is complementary. So when they add up to 90, it is complementary. So, two angles are complementary if their sum is 90 degrees. And two angles are supplementary if their sum is 180 degrees. Yes. Now, if you have a hard time remembering which one is which, I just remember that C comes before S in alphabetical order, and 90 is the smaller out of the two angles. So they alphabetical order and numerical order. By writing and solving equations, we can determine the missing angle measure of a complementary or supplementary angle. So, is this going to be a complementary or a supplementary angle?
Complementary.
What is it at? What kind of angle is this? In like, not, it's a straight angle, so it adds up to how many degrees? So that is supplementary. So if this adds up to 180 degrees, then I can add these two things together. X plus 136 equals 180 degrees. How would I solve for X?
Subtract by 136.
Subtract 136 from both sides. So X equals what? 44. So X is 44 degrees. Alright, number 7. What do these two angles add up to? 90. How do I know that they add up to 90? They have the little square making it a right angle. So if we add these two up, you would get X plus 74 equals 90. So what do I need to do to both sides? Subtract 74. So X equals 16. Alright, everybody try number 8 and 9 on For number 8, what should the equation be? (58) plus X equals 90. And when you solve that, what do you do to both sides?
Subtract 58 from both sides.
So X equals, so X is 32 degrees. And then the number 9, what's the equation here?
X plus 52.
X plus 52 equals 180 because it's a straight line. And what do you do to both sides? Subtract 52. So X equals 128 degrees. Alright, number 10. Two angles are complementary, which means what? They add up to 90 degrees. One of the angles is 15 degrees. What is the measure of the second angle? How can I find this?
Subtract 15.
So 90 minus 15, that's 75 degrees. Number 11, angle ABE and angle DBE are supplementary. What does that mean?
They add to 180.
They add up to 180 degrees. If the measure of angle ABE is 61 degrees, what is the measure of angle DBE? What do I need to do to solve that one? Subtract 61 from 180. Good. Any questions about this? Okay, so go ahead and mark this next page as homework, and then we're going to keep going. Okay, and then moving on to the next page. How are 3 or more angles formed? So, angles are made or formed when two lines intersect So it says to label vertical and adjacent angles below. So you learned this last year in 6th grade. Adjacent means that they are touching. Vertical means they are across from each other, or we called it the kissing angles last year because they look like they are kissing. So first, if we list the vertical angles, So an example would be angle D and angle B. Those two look like they are kissing each other. Angle D and angle B. They share the same two lines. They are across from each other and share the same two lines. So it looks like they're kissing each other. What's the other set of vertical angles? Angle A and angle C. No, adjacent means touching. Vertical means they're across from each other. So right now we're just talking about vertical. So angle D and B are vertical because they are across from each other. And angle A and C are across from each other, so those are also vertical. Next, we need to list the adjacent angles. Adjacent means the two angles are touching. So you are only listing pairs of angles that are adjacent. So I'll give you one pair. Angle A is touching angle B. It means that they share one line in between them. So angle A and angle B. So what's another set? A and D. What's another set? C and D. And there's one more. And C and B. So those are all the angles that are touching each other. They are adjacent. So if angle A has a measure of 110 degrees, determine the measure of the other angles. So we know that A is 110 degrees. What would angle B be?
70.
How do you figure that out?
Because it's a straight angle.
So A and B make a straight line. They make a straight angle. So I can subtract 180 minus 110, which is 70 degrees. Angle C. How much is angle C? So now we know that angle B and angle C add up to 180. And I just found out that angle B was 70 degrees. So angle B plus angle C is 180. So that would be 180 minus 70, which is 110. And then angle D. How much is angle D going to be?
70.
That's also going to be 70 because it can make a straight line with either A or with C. So you can do 180 minus 110 equals 70. What do all four angles add up to? 360. Good.
It's a circle.
Alright, also notice, what do you notice about vertical angles? What's the relationship between vertical angles as far as their measurements?
It's the same.
So vertical angles, those are congruent. They are the same.
Why do they call it vertical? Look more like yeah.
Congruent means same. They are the same. So vertical angles, we said A and C were vertical angles. They're both 110. We also said D and B were vertical angles. Those are both 70, so they are congruent or the same. What about adjacent angles?
They both add up to 180.
They add up to 180, which makes them supplementary. Alright, so number 4, we're going to find the missing angle. So what kind of angles are those? Are they vertical or adjacent? They are vertical. They look like they are kissing. So what do we know about vertical angles?
They're congruent.
The vertical angles are congruent. So vertical angles are congruent. So what is x?
140.
148.
If they are congruent, then it's the same, so they are both 148 degrees. And number 5, what do those two angles add up to?
94. Oh, 170.
They're saying that these two angles add up to 117 degrees. So you can add 94 plus x and set it equal to 117 degrees. What would I do to solve this?
Subtract 94 from both sides.
Subtract 94 from both sides. So x equals 23. So that angle is 23 degrees. What about number 6? What is x? How do you know it's 35?
Because they're
They are vertical angles which are congruent. What does congruent mean?
the same.
The same what?
Um,
Size.
size.
The same size.
Those balls are congruent.
Alright. Angle relationships allow us to determine the unknown angle measure. Remember that all angles around an intersection will always add up to 360 degrees. So if you go all the way around and add them all together, they add up to 360 degrees. That's what someone decided on. It has something to do with the sun and write and solve an equation to determine the measure of K. So how do you think we could find K? How did you find that?
Oh.
Okay, good. So this makes a straight line. So we know that 60 plus 40 plus angle K has to add up to 180 degrees because they make a straight line. So when you combine your like terms, you get 100 plus K equals 180. And then what? Subtract 100. So K equals 880. So I would fill this in, but there is no vertical. What is vertical to K?
No, I added the two angles,
Uh-huh.
and the vertical of it is M, and then 300, add those two, subtract 360, and got 160, and split it evenly.
It's like a lot more complicated, bro.
Yeah. Alright, so write and solve an equation to find the measure of angle M. So, AJ, what did you just say about M?
That is 100, because vertical to
So it is vertical to 60 and 40 added up together. This angle right here, this whole angle, is vertical to this whole angle. They look like they're kissing. So we would do 60 plus 40 equals M. So M is 100 degrees. Number 9, write and solve an equation to find the measure of angle G. What does this box mean?
that's
Right,
It's a line.
That's 90 degrees. So what information can I use to find G? Right, so that makes another straight line. You have 32 plus 90 plus G adds up to what? To 180. So what's 32 plus 90? 100 what? 122 plus G equals 180. Oh,
58.
subtract 122. So G equals 58. It's not always going to be this simple, so you need to know how to do the process. I know it looks simple right now, but it doesn't always come out that easy. Based on the information given and what you found was G, how can you determine measure J? I don't know. I don't want to know the answer. I want to know how can I figure out what J is.
Because when the vertical of J is 122.
Is there an easier way? Does J make a straight line with something?
Yeah.
What?
G.
G. It made a straight line with G, which I know what G is. So angle G and angle J are a straight line, so they are supplementary. So that means that 58 plus J has to add up to 180. What do I do to both sides? Subtract 58. So J equals what? 122. Alright, number 11. Now we are trying to find Z. How can I find Z?
Make that 180. Half circle thing between 29 and 1.
So this makes a straight line. So we know that's going to add up to 180 degrees. So 29 plus Z plus 112 equals 180. Combine your like terms. So what's 29 plus 112? 141 plus Z equals 180. Then what do we do next? Subtract 141. So Z equals 39 degrees. And another way to find angle Z would have been to use the vertical angles. But that's kind of the longer way around. So 112 would have gone across here. That's vertical. Your other vertical angle would be 29 goes here. And so then 360 minus those numbers and divide them by 2.
I just see a way to figure out the whole work.
Alright, so this page is also homework.
What?
So homework 2, that's also homework.
Oh, it's easy. All you gotta do is know the rules. And then you reverse
Figure out the
it.
missing
Got it.
ingredients. Yeah.
Alright, now, how do you use angles to solve problems? The complement of an angle, so complement means that the two angles add up to what?
90 degrees.
90 degrees. So the complement of an angle is 3 times the measurement of the angle x. Find the measurement of the angle and its complement. What do we know about the angle?
The angle is negative 90 degrees.
Just the one angle itself. So the angle was x. And what about the second angle, its complement? What did we know about the complement? It was 3 times the first angle. What am I looking for? What do I need to know?
The measurement of the angle and its complement.
So the measurement of the angle and its complement. So the two angles add up to what? 90 degrees. They are complementary, so they add up to 90. So x plus 3x equals 90 degrees. Because when you add them up, they are complementary, so they equal 90. Then combine like terms, and what do you get? 4x equals 90. And then what do I do next? So x equals 22.5 degrees. So what is the measurement of the angle? 22.5. And what is the measurement of the complement?
45.
How do I find the measurement of the complement?
Multiply the angle by 3.
So you can either subtract 90 minus 22.5, or you can multiply 3 times 22.5. So that comes out to 67.5 degrees. Number 2, 4 rays meet at a common endpoint. Write and solve an equation to find x. Then determine all of the angle measures. So what do I know? What does W equal? 36 degrees. What does Z equal? How many degrees is Z? 90. It has a right angle marker, so that is 90 degrees. And what do I know when I add up all of these angles? What should they come out to?
360.
So when I add up W plus Z plus Y plus U, I should get 360 degrees. What am I looking for? So the value of x, and what else?
No, the angle measurement.
The angle measures. So if I know W plus Z plus Y plus U equals 360 degrees, I'm going to plug in the information I have for those. So what is W? So I'm going to plug in 36 for W. What is Z? So plug in 90 for Z. What is Y? 7x. So I'm plugging in 7x for Y. And what is U? So I'm plugging in 2x for U, and that equals 360 degrees. Yes, combine like terms. So when I combine 36 and 90, I get what? 126 plus what's 7x and 2x? 9x, and that equals 360. And then what do I do next? Subtract 126 from both sides. So 9x equals what?
234.
Good. And then what do I do next?
Divide by 9.
So
6.
x is 26. So if x is 26, then what is angle U? How do we find that out?
182.
So if U is 2x, and I know that x is 26, I can do 2 times 26, which is 52 degrees. And then similarly, angle Y is equal to 7x. So 7 times 26
182.
is 182 degrees. All right, I want you to try 3 and 4.